175 days until the Iowa caucus and 469 days until America decides on Election Day 2024. Welcome to Washington. I'm Ed O'Keefe. We're also just less than a month away from the first GOP presidential debate in Milwaukee. One big unknown, it's still unclear if former President Donald Trump will be there. Multiple Republican candidates say they've met the polling and fundraising qualifications set by the Republican National Committee to participate. The former president certainly has, but the former vice president, Mike Pence, is among those still working to make the stage. For more on all of this, Caitlin Huey-Burns and Finn Gómez join us now. Caitlin, of course, the CBS News political correspondent, and Finn, the CBS News political director. Good to see both of you. What's so exciting for those that watch this show and put it together is we finally have some numbers. We spend a lot of time ad nauseum talking about where this thing is headed. Right. We saw some polling over the weekend that suggests the current contours of this race. Looking at the race in Iowa, according to this poll from our colleagues at Fox Business, former President Donald Trump up by 30 points now, some slippage there by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. And then in the state of South Carolina, he's up by even more, trailed by the home state former Governor Nikki Haley, then Governor DeSantis, and then the state's junior Senator Tim Scott. And that suggests that that's essentially the ballgame right now, save for a few others who, thanks to a lot of media appearances and their own money, have earned their way onto the debate stage. Caitlin, though, it's a signal that there really is nothing stopping the former president despite his legal issues.
Yeah, and I agree. It's good to have these polls. It's good to have early state polls because this is not a national primary. What was interesting to me, though, you mentioned the lack of movement, really. Donald Trump has maintained his lead over this field in these early states. And I was looking back to this time about 4 years ago when we were covering the Democratic primary, and you had Elizabeth Warren surging in the summer. You had volatility in the race. There was movement. There were candidates at the time trying to present themselves as the ones to take on Donald Trump and the alternative to Joe Biden at the time. So there was movement there. We're just not seeing that kind of movement. It is interesting to note, though, that Tim Scott is making some kind of play. What he's doing seems to be at least working to the way that they want to see it. And having seen him a couple of times now in Iowa, he is really gearing towards those voters who are evangelical-based. Faith is a huge part of his campaign. He walks around kind of sermon style. He doesn't take to the podium. He walks around the crowd and is trying to kind of master that retail politics that we all know works well in Iowa. Again, though, Donald Trump still maintaining this lead, and he knows it and is able to skip a lot of these traditional things that the other candidates really have to keep attending.
Again, one of the reasons why it's so great to see the data is you had heard it from voters that Tim Scott was on their list. We'd heard it in our visits to South Carolina and Iowa, and now we're seeing it. Part of why he's on the move has to do with his advertising, right, Finn?
That's absolutely right. And you've seen the only really movement that we have seen in these early polls, in these early state polls, has been Tim Scott. You know, you've seen him, he's only about 5 points behind in Iowa, as you mentioned, CHB, and he's made serious inroads with his faith voters. And yes, part of it, I spoke to some senior PAC members, the pro-Scott PAC, who have placed a $40 million TV and digital ad reserve through August, essentially. It's on top, through the fall, on top of the $7 million they already have to spend through August. That's a lot of money to spend on ads. And they're saying they're having this positive effect, this impact in these early states, especially in Iowa, South Carolina, and even in New Hampshire, we've seen some movement there by Tim Scott. They primarily say their message, the senior advisors tell me their movement, they say, the Tim Scott advisors, is because his positivity is working, his positive message, in contrast to Trump and in contrast to DeSantis. However, some other Republican rivals to Scott, to DeSantis, to Trump say that may be the case. He has a high approval rating, 89% favorable among some Republicans in these polls. However, where's the substance, they say?
Yeah.
Where's the substance?
So we're all gearing towards an event at the end of the week in Iowa, the state party's dinner. Most of these guys will be there in one way or another. There will be appearances before and after that. We have to watch and see how a Ron DeSantis, a Mike Pence, a Vivek Ramaswamy talk about Tim Scott to try to chip away at what he does. We'll watch that over the course of the week. The other interesting set of numbers that came out this morning are in regards to Ohio, and another issue, Caitlin, you've been following closely, and that is, of course, abortion rights or access to abortion services. The Buckeye State, the only one this year set to hold a statewide referenda on the future of abortion rights. And there's polling today to suggest what?
Well, it's really interesting, and bear with us a little bit because there are some nuances to this. Basically, Ohio is likely to be the only state to have a constitutional amendment to protect access to abortion. That's expected to happen later this fall. But anticipating that, state lawmakers set a special election for August of this year, so in just a couple of weeks, to change the threshold to be able to get approval of a constitutional amendment. And that's all significant because we have polling out today that shows about 58% of Ohio likely voters support this constitutional amendment to protect abortion access. So 58%. The state legislature wants to ask voters in the special election to change that threshold to 60%.
Yeah.
So this has been a strategy. We've covered this extensively. A lot of money has been involved by a big Republican mega donor to try to push this special election forward. So if voters approve this measure in a couple of weeks to change the threshold, that 58% won't be enough to pass. But if they do keep the rules in place, this Ohio test will be kind of a test for the next year about how this issue is a pretty potent one in American politics. We've seen that proven again, but especially in a state like Ohio, a very conservative state now, could be kind of a barometer as other groups are watching to see how this plays out.
I mean, my goodness, if abortion rights are preserved in the ruby red state of Ohio, where can Republicans expect to play on this issue in a big state, you know, like a Wisconsin or a Michigan or a Georgia or an Arizona, where time after time we'll have seen voters say, no, leave those rights in place?
And does it help, is it an opening perhaps for the Biden-Harris reelect in this state that, as you mentioned, has consistently gone red over the last few cycles and has become ruby red? Is this now an opening? Can they actually gain some ground there in the general election?
So August 8th is the vote on whether to change the threshold for
to be able to pass these amendments,
right.
So requiring 60% versus a simple majority.
But then tomorrow, the Secretary of State has to verify whether or not the abortion thing actually gets on the ballot in November.
Gets enough signatures,
right.
Yeah.
So we'll watch that as well. Caitlin Huey-Burns and Finn Gómez, thank you both. We'll keep an eye on all those things and talk to you later in the week.